Today I'll be looking at what average retirement savings really means and why this benchmark can be dangerously misleading. My name's Justin. I own a financial planning firm in Pennsylvania, and I've spent about the last 15 years almost helping hundreds of people retire. And I've discovered why being above average in savings or even below average doesn't always necessarily translate to retirement success or failure. And that's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you the real truth about what above average or even below average retirement savings actually means for your future. So let's dig right into it. And what makes focusing on average retirement numbers so dangerous? Well, because these numbers can be very, very misleading. According to recent Federal Reserve data, the average American aged 55 to 64 has about an average of $537,000 saved, but the median is only $185,000. And just those two numbers right there are confusing, right? You might have heard that and think, well, what's the difference between the numbers? Remember that the average is going to be skewed because you're looking at some people that have millions and millions of dollars, so that's going to skew the average a little higher. But that median number, that's a little bit more realistic of where a lot of people might be. But again, just hearing those two numbers might lead to a lot of confusion in and of itself. I can tell you right away that most people think they need at least $1 million or even millions of dollars to retire. And I can tell you from experience that that's just a big myth and it's not true. But here's the real problem. These average numbers hide how personal the whole retirement calculation and process needs to be. And it doesn't take into account your personal spending needs, your lifestyle, everything that all those little details about you that go into retirement, and that's the real important part. By far the biggest problem is that these average saving numbers completely ignore your personal spending needs in retirement, and I will tell you that's by far the biggest factor in if you can successfully retire or not. Now I know this may surprise you, as focusing on retirement savings numbers is thought of as the right thing to do when it comes to retirement planning. So if you're feeling confused about where you stand in retirement planning, check out the first link in the description, where you'll find a questionnaire you can fill out to share a few details about your savings, your goals, your spending, and within a couple of days, I'll send back a personalized video where I will answer the big "can I afford to retire" question and any other big retirement questions you might have based on your exact numbers. And what do people believe about retirement savings numbers? Well, I've found all kinds of stuff, all kinds of myths and misconceptions. And the biggest one, of course, is when people see numbers like that, they'll think, well, I need at least $537,000 to retire safely. And I can tell you that that does not always make sense. For some people, maybe that number works. There's people that I've worked with who retired successfully on way less than that. There's people who, if they have more than that, maybe even significantly more than that, maybe that still isn't enough for them because their spending needs are different. So just focusing on that average number doesn't really do a whole lot to help you. Another misleading part or misleading belief about these average retirement numbers is it makes people always feel as if they're doing not that great of a job, or maybe overconfident that they're doing better than they think that they are. And I would say that's probably one of the most common questions that I'll hear when I talk to clients and prospects, is people will always ask me how I feel or what I think about where they're at compared to their peers, or they'll just say, hey Justin, how do you think we're doing compared to some of your other clients? And it's a hard question to answer because everybody's situation is so different. So there could be two people that have the exact same salary, exact same savings rate, but maybe their lifestyle or their spending needs are totally different. Maybe one couple has 4 kids in college, maybe the other couple has no children and they don't have that extra expense. So it's really, really difficult when you start trying to compare yourself to other people. Here's another misconception that this creates. The belief that if you're below that average number that you can't retire, and that's definitely not true. I've worked with plenty of people who've retired successfully that have less than $537,000. And then there's the other side of the coin too, where if you have more than $537,000, you might look at that and say, oh, well, I'm okay, I'm way above the average, but maybe your spending needs are a lot different than the person who had less, and their retirement situation could be much less stressful, much more carefree than yours is, even though you have way more than the average. So just looking at those average numbers does not tell the full story or give a good picture of whether you're going to be successful or not in retirement. By far, one of the biggest questions I get is, how much can I spend and will I have enough? I mean, that's really what it all comes down to, right? That's probably why you're watching a video like this in the first place. You want to know, am I going to be okay? Do I have enough money that's going to last me? Do I have to stress out during retirement and wonder if I'm going to run out of money? And these type of myths and misconceptions lead to a lot of bad beliefs and counterproductive behaviors. And here's what I mean. Number one, working a lot longer than necessary to chase that average number, or maybe feel like that you're way above that average number. And that's one of the big things that you really can't get back. You can't make up lost time, right? So being able to save a few years of time and not have to work longer than you didn't, that's priceless. The next one is living too frugally despite having way more than enough. And that's a really big one. And I've seen that happen a lot. And it doesn't just happen to those who might feel that they're below average in retirement savings. It happens to people who even have millions and millions of dollars, people who have more money than they can spend. I've seen people who have way more money than they would ever spend in their lifetime agonize over making a kitchen appliance purchase because just that extreme frugality mindset has been instilled in them and it just doesn't go away. So I've found that to be counterproductive for those who have way more than the average. And then of course, even those who believe that they're way under the average, it affects them both the same way. And one of the worst beliefs that happens from this is making bad investment decisions, chasing returns, feeling like that you need to make up for missing out. If you feel like that you're behind in your retirement savings, trying to be extra aggressive or chase return more than you should, and that leads you to start stressing out, opening your statement or logging into your account every single day, wondering, well, it's not going up fast enough, I can't retire. That just creates an extra level of stress that is going to be very counterproductive. I also find that people who are very, very detail oriented or very, I guess I'd say more who have a perfectionist mindset and high achievers, they will really struggle with stuff like this, with these average retirement targets. And it can really throw them off track. And here's what I mean. So if you have that perfectionist mindset, you may look at these average retirement numbers and think, well, that's the average. Who wants to be average? I want to be way above average. And you might think that you have to hit multiples of that goal so you can feel like you achieved something and you overachieved, even though maybe you didn't really need to save that much to live a great lifestyle. Maybe you're working and delaying your retirement far longer than you needed to. And I find that these kind of average retirement savings numbers and all these kind of just random benchmarks can really, really hurt people who have that perfectionist mindset. Remember, perfect is the enemy of good. So you may be in a really, really good spot to retire and could actually retire successfully and comfortably, but because of average numbers, or you heard about this calculation or that calculation, that you think you're not where you should be, and that's what I want to avoid. And that brings me to my main point. These average retirement savings numbers are pretty much meaningless. What really determines retirement success, from working with people who have millions and millions of dollars to people who have a couple $100,000 saved, what really matters is what your actual spending needs are, what you spend on a monthly or annual basis on average. That's what is really important, and that's the biggest factor by far in determining if you're going to be able to retire or not. It's all those little details that apply only to your life and nobody else's. That's what's important, and that's what we need to know and figure out to help narrow down if you can retire or not. And these are different for everybody. Those little details matter. I like the show Reacher on Amazon Prime. Reacher likes to do investigations, and he always says in an investigation, details matter. And that always stood out to me. It's kind of the same thing with retirement planning. All those details really matter. Reacher'd be a good retirement planner. He's hired. So as you can see, having the wrong savings target can cause you to work longer than necessary, live too frugally, and postpone your retirement when you didn't need to. To help you understand why you could be in a much better retirement situation than you think, I'm going to show you how I helped a client solve this exact problem. So I'll use a client I worked with, and we'll just call her Lori. And Lori thought that retirement was only something that you could do if you were a millionaire, that it didn't really apply to her. She figured she'd probably have to work until at least 70 or 75, or she mentioned quite a few times, I'm probably going to have to work till I'm dead. And she was missing out on things that she could have been doing, time with family, time with her children, time with her grandchildren, and all because she thought that retirement was just unobtainable because she hadn't hit that certain benchmark, or she was below the average. And here's how we helped solve the problem. So once we started working together, we were able to sit down with Lori and show her that she did have enough to retire. She actually had plenty. And we were able to show that she could take withdrawals every year without fear of running out, be able to supplement her income with the withdrawals from her portfolio, and still be able to do all the things that she liked to do. Now, she didn't live an expensive lifestyle. She just liked to be able to go out with friends, go out to eat every once in a while, travel a little bit, and she could do all of those things without any issue. She just didn't realize it. So once we created that personalized spending plan and showed her what those realistic targets were, she could then enjoy a lot more comfortable lifestyle, got rid of all that stress and anxiety, and she was able to comfortably retire, get rid of all that stress, enjoy her life, spend more time with her family, even though she was technically below that average number. Now that you know what average retirement savings really means, not a whole lot, you can move beyond these arbitrary benchmarks and build real retirement security. Through analyzing thousands of retirement journeys, I discovered that successful retirement has far less to do with being above average or below average, and everything to do with having the right strategy that applies to your personal situation. And that's exactly why I put together a complimentary retirement questionnaire to help you determine where you stand, not only with your retirement savings, but with your retirement plan as a whole. Once you fill it out, I'll personally send you a video breaking down your situation and give you some actionable advice to move forward. Just click the link below to fill it out. If I can help, I'm glad to do it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.